Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Today I am going to present the title Elements of Climate. So let's proceed. First, to understand what is climate. The weather conditions prevailing in an area in general or over a long period is called climate. Means the climate refers to the weather conditions for a period like months, year or decades, which will be considered as a climatic conditions. Climate is a measure of the average pattern of variation in temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, precipitation, atmospheric pressure and other meteorological variables in a given region over long period of time. The climatic factors include rainfall and water, light, temperature, relative humidity, air and wind, etc. Influence of climate on crop climate is the most important dominating factors influencing the suitability of a crop to a particular region. The yield potential of the crop mainly depends on climate. More than 50% of variation of crops is determined by climatic conditions. The most important climatic factors that influence growth, development and yield of crops are solar radiation, which is light, temperature and rainfall. Here we will go through weather and climate because these both terms are different to each other. Weather refers to the state or condition of atmosphere at a given place at any given time, denoting the short-term variations of atmosphere in terms of temperature, pressure, wind, moisture, cloudiness, precipitation and visibility. Weather is highly variable, constantly changing, sometimes from hour to hour and at any other times from day to day. Weather pertains to a smaller areas like village, city and a smaller duration of time. While climate is a generalized weather or summation of weather conditions over a given region during a comparatively longer period, it may be defined as the sum of all statistical weather information of a particular area like zone, state, country during a specified interval of time like month, season, year and usually several decades. The World Meteorological Organization has suggested a standard period of 31 years for calculating the climatic averages of different weather elements. So, here it is obvious that weather is referring the atmospheric changes for a short time and for a smaller area, while climate is representing for longer period and bigger area. Here to go through difference between weather and climate. In previous slides we had gone through the definitions of weather and climate. As weather is concerned, weather is representing the atmospheric condition for a shorter period like day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour, but in case of climate it is for a longer period like months or year or decades. Weather involves only one condition of the atmosphere at a time, while climate includes all the conditions of the atmosphere like temperature, precipitation, wind, humidity, clouds and pressure. Weather occurs a place within a short time and it may change in a shorter span of time, while climate takes place over a longer period of time. In case of climate, we are talking about months or years or decades or something long. Weather is observed on daily basis, while climate is representing the weather atmospheric conditions over a long time. And weather changes within a short time. It may be different in morning, it may be different at evening time, but as weather is concerned, the overall changes and variations are stable and may take decades or centuries to occur. The scientific study of weather is called meteorology, while scientific study of climate is called climatology. So these are the some differences in weather which represent in terms of time and its changing pattern. First element is solar radiation. Solar radiation is the energy radiated from the sun in the form of electromagnetic waves including visible and ultraviolet light and infrared radiation. Solar radiation is the heat and light and other radiation given off by the sun. It is also known as short wave radiation, and solar radiation is probably the most important element of climate. Solar radiation is a form of kinetic energy that comes from the sun in tiny particles called quanta or photons, which are traveling in waves. Solar radiation first and foremost hits the Earth's surface, which in turn determines the temperature of the air above. The receipt of solar radiation drives evaporation so long as there is water available. Heating of the air determines its stability, which affects cloud development and precipitation. Unequal heating of the Earth's surface creates pressure gradient that result in wind. Every location on Earth receives sunlight at least part of the year. All plants need sunlight for photosynthesis, and photosynthesis is the process by which light, chlorophyll, energy, carbon dioxide, and water interact within the plant to produce the sugar and starches it needs to survive. The amount of solar radiation that reaches any spot on the Earth's surface varies depending upon the situations like geographic locations. If tropical regions are there, subtropical regions, temperate regions, Antarctica regions, all are receiving solar radiation in different amounts. Time of the day is another factor. In early or morning hours and in evening hours the radiation is very low, while in case of afternoon hours the radiation is on peak stage. It's also depending upon the sun, like in winter the radiation will be on lower side, while in case of summer the maximum radiation will take place. Local landscape topography is also deciding the solar radiation. In hilly regions the radiation will be low, while in case of plains and deserts it will be in higher level. Local weather conditions are also impacting solar radiations. If it is rainy weather, the solar radiation may be 0, while in case of open sunshiny conditions it may be higher side. Solar radiation comes in many forms like visible lights, radio waves, heat, X-rays and ultraviolet rays. And the measurements of solar radiations are higher on clear and sunny days. When it is open weather, totally clear, open sky, then solar radiation will be on the higher side, and usually low on cloudy days. When the sun is down or there are heavy clouds blocking the sun, solar radiation is measured at 0. Solar radiation at any place at a given point of time is expressed in watts per square meter, and the solar radiation is instantaneous intensity. Now solar radiation measurement. The intensity of radiation is recorded by instruments solarimeter and heliometer, and the duration of sunshine is calculated by using simple sunshine recorder. A sunshine recorder is a device that records the amount of sunshine duration at a given location or region at any time. The Campbell-Stokes recorder, which is also known as a Stokes sphere, is a type of sunshine recorder. This was invented by John Francis Campbell in 1853, and it was further modified by Sir George Gabriel Stokes in 1879. So the sunshine recorder name is given the Campbell-Stokes recorder. Second climate element is temperature. Degree of hotness or coldness of a substance is called temperature. Temperature is a measure of intensity of heat energy, and it is commonly expressed in degrees Celsius or centigrade or degree Fahrenheit and Kelvin scales. The temperature of a place is largely determined by its distance from the equator, which is latitude and altitude also. At temperatures below the freeze point of water, there is change in form of water from liquid to solid. Temperature varies because of the heat exchange that takes place between building and its surroundings because of conduction, convection and radiation. So, to achieve thermal comfort, heat exchange is targeted. As we have seen here, it is expressed in terms of Kelvin scales. It has been having the formula Kelvin scale is equal to centigrade plus 273. As a Fahrenheit formula 9 by 5 multiplied by centigrades plus 32. If it is represented in Celsius, then formula will come as C by 5 is equal to F minus 32 by 9. So we can calculate and represent the centigrades or Fahrenheit or Kelvin scales. Temperature is a very important factor in determining the weather because it influences or controls other elements of the weather like precipitation, humidity, clouds and atmospheric pressure. Now temperature measurement. Thermometer is the instrument which is used to measure the temperature, and it also measures how fast the atoms and molecules of the substance are moving due to temperature. Another instrument is used, maximum and minimum thermometer. One side it records the maximum temperature and other side records the minimum temperature. This is used to define the differences between maximum and minimum temperature over a period of time, usually one day. The difference between the daily maximum and the daily minimum is called the diurnal range. Thermograph is another instrument which is also used to measure the temperature. These are automatic self-recording thermometers which mark the prevailing temperature continuously on graph paper wound round a drum operated by lockwork mechanism. Third element is air. The air is a mixture of gases in the atmosphere. About 75% of this air is found in the troposphere. The oxygen and carbon dioxide in the air is important to the physiology of plants. Oxygen is essential in respiration for the production of energy that is utilized in various growth and development processes. Carbon dioxide is a raw material in photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is taken by the plants by diffusion processes from leaves through stomata, and it is returned to the atmosphere during decomposition of organic materials and all farm wastes and by respiration. In air, if we will see the atmospheric gases combination, the nitrogen is contributing around 78%, oxygen is having 20.95%, carbon dioxide is contributing about 0.03%, argon is 0.93% and other gases consisting 0.02%. Fourth element is wind. The horizontal movement of the atmosphere is called wind. Wind can be felt only when it is in motion. Wind is the result of the horizontal differences in the air pressure. Wind is simply the movement of air from high pressure to low pressure. The speed of the wind is determined by the differences between the high and low pressure areas. The greater the difference, the faster will be wind speed. And closer to the isobars, there will be stronger winds. The wind brings with it the temperature of the area it is coming from. Therefore, a high pressure in a warm region will make the temperature in the low pressure area higher. Wind chill is the effect of the wind making it feel colder than it actually is. As the wind speed increases, air is moving more quickly and therefore removes warm air by making colder than the actual temperature conditions. Air movement or wind is due to the existence of pressure gradient on a global or local scale, which is caused by differences in heating. On a global scale, it is consisting of jet stream flow. Jet stream flow are relatively narrow band of a strong wind in the upper level of the atmosphere. The jet streams flows high overhead and causes changes in the wind and pressure at that level. Second is movement of large air masses. In general, cold air masses tends to flow forward the equator and warm air masses tends to flow towards the poles. This brings heat to cold areas and cools down areas that are warm. On the local scale, there is only a smaller quantity of air moves. Surface winds are lower and less turbulent at night due to the absence of solar heating. When air that is close to the ground cools, contracts and raises the pressure. When wind warms, it expands and loses pressure. Where both cold and warm air is occurring in proximity, as over a lake and its adjacent source, the cold flows to the direction of the warm air or from high to low pressure area to correct the pressure imbalance. This also happens in tropical area, but in a larger and more complex way is the monsoon winds. Anemometer or wind gauge is the instrument which is used to measure the wind speed or wind velocity. Wind velocity is the basic function of wind to carry moisture and heat. The moving wind not only supplies moisture and heat, also supplies fresh carbon dioxide for the photosynthesis, and wind movement at the speed 4 to 6 kilometers per hour is suitable for more crops. The wind speed is measured by anemometer, which also gives direction of the wind blowing, and the speed is recorded in miles per hour. For purpose of designing, the prevailing direction of wind along with the seasonal variation in direction and average velocity for each month should be recorded. Fifth element is precipitation. Precipitation is the term given to moisture that falls from the air to the ground, and it includes rainfall, snow, hail, sleet, drizzling, fog and mist, etc. Precipitation is simply any water form that falls to the earth from overhead cloud formations. As an element of weather, precipitation determines whether outdoor activities are suitable or if the water levels of lakes and rivers will be right. As an element of climate, precipitation is a long-term predictable factor of a region's makeup, and it is measured by rain gauge and it is expressed in millimeter per time unit area. Sixth element is rainfall. The quantity of water that is precipitated in liquid form in a specified area and time is called rainfall, and this is usually expressed in millimeters or inches. Rainfall is the most common form of precipitation, and it is falling of water in droplets on the surface of the earth from clouds. The amount and regularity of rainfall vary with location and climate types and affect the dominance of certain types of vegetation as well as crop growth and yield. Rain gauge or pluviometer is the instrument which is used to measure the amount of liquid precipitation or rainfall over a certain period of time, and the depth of rain can be measured with a ruler in terms of millimeters or inches. Seventh element is humidity. Humidity is the measurable amount of moisture in the air of the lower atmosphere, or in other way, water present in the atmosphere in the form of invisible water vapor, normally known as humidity. Atmospheric moisture is the most important element of the atmosphere which modifies the air temperature. The humidity element of weather makes the day feel hotter and can be used to predict coming storms. The humidity elements of climate is the prolonged moisture level of an area that can affect entire ecosystem. There are three types of humidity. First one is absolute humidity, second is relative humidity, and third is specific humidity. So we will discuss about these types of humidity. Here to study about relative humidity RH. Relative humidity is the amount of moisture present against the total moisture the air can hold at that temperature, and it is expressed in terms of percentage. Relative humidity is ratio between the amount of moisture present in the air to the saturation capacity of the air at a particular temperature. If relative humidity is 100%, it means the entire space is filled with water and there is no soil evaporation and plant transpiration. Relative humidity influences the water requirement of crops. The relative humidity affects the opening and closing of the stomata, which regulates the loss of water from the plant through transpiration as well as photosynthesis. Relative humidity is a more useful expression for designers as it gives the direct potential of evaporation. If relative humidity is of 40 to 60%, it is suitable for most of the crop plants. Very few crops can perform well when relative humidity is 80% and above. When relative humidity is high, there is chance for the outbreak of pest and diseases. Now in brief study about absolute humidity and specific humidity. Absolute humidity is the amount of moisture actually present in unit mass or unit volume of air, which is expressed in gram per kilogram or gram per cubic meter. In other way, it is also defined as the total amount of water vapor present in per volume of air at a definite temperature. As a specific humidity is concerned, it is defined as the mass of water vapor in grams contained in a kilogram of air, and it represents the actual quantity of moisture present in a definite air. This is a ratio of water vapor mass to total moist air partial mass. Relative humidity is measured with instruments hygrometer and sling psychrometer. As sling psychrometer is concerned, it measures the relative humidity based on the effect of evaporation using two thermometers called dry bulb and wet bulb thermometer. Eighth element is atmospheric pressure. It is also known as pressure systems. Atmospheric pressure is defined as the force per unit area exerted against a surface by the weight of air above that surface. Air pressure is the weight of air resting on the earth's surface, and air has a specific weight. This weight exerted by the air is atmospheric pressure. Earth's atmospheric pressure system have a direct impact on the precipitation. In general, the places dominated by low pressure tend to be moist, while those areas dominated by high pressure are dry areas. The seasonality of precipitation is affected by the seasonal movement of global and regional pressure systems. Atmospheric pressure is measured by the instrument barometer, which provides the measurement in millibars. Under moist condition, high and rising pressure indicates sunny weather, while low and falling pressure indicates approaching rain. Ninth element is ocean currents. Ocean currents greatly affect the temperature and precipitation of a climate. Those climates bordering cold currents tend to be drier, as the cold ocean water helps stabilize the air and inhibit cloud formation and precipitation. Air traveling over cold ocean currents lose energy to the water and thus moderate the temperature of nearby coastal locations. Air masses traveling over warm ocean currents promote instability and precipitation, and additionally, the warm ocean water keeps air temperature somewhat warmer than locations just inland from the coast during the winter. 10th element of climate is cloudiness. A cloud can be defined as hygrometer consisting of minute particles of liquid water or ice, or of both, suspended in the free air and usually not touching the ground. It may also include larger particles of liquid water or ice, as well as non-aqueous or solid particles such as those present in fumes, smoke and dust. Clouds are usually the most obvious feature of the sky. Clouds give us a clue about what is going on in our atmosphere and how the weather might change in the hours or even days to come. Each type of clouds form in a different way and each brings its own kind of weather, and clouds play multiple critical roles in the climate system. In particular, being bright objects in the visible part of the solar spectrum, they efficiently reflect light to a space and thus contribute to the cooling of the planet. A small increase in cloud cover could in principle balance the heating resulting from greenhouse gases. Clouds are the basis for precipitation. In summer, cloudy days provide protection from the rays of the sun. In winter, cloudy skies at night diminish nocturnal radiation and check the fall of temperature. Clear, calm winter nights are usually the coldest and helps in condensation. As cloud development is concerned, the clouds form when the invisible water vapor in the air condenses into visible water droplets or ice crystals. For this to happen, the parcel of air must be saturated, like unable to hold all the water it contains in vapor form, so it starts to condense into liquid or solid form. The clouds are formed by surface heating and free convection, lifting of air over topography, and widespread air lifting due to surface convergence and lifting along weather fronts. So clouds form as air rises, expands and cools. 11th element is visibility. This is the most critical weather element, and obstruction to visibility includes various factors like clouds, fog, smoke, haze and precipitation. Visibility is represented by meteorological optical range MOR, and it varies with the background illumination. In extremely clean air, in Arctic or mountainous areas, the visibility can be up to 70 kilometers to 100 kilometers. Visibility is often reduced somewhat by air pollution and high humidity. Fog and smoke can reduce visibility to near zero, making driving extremely dangerous. The same can happen in a sandstorm in and near desert areas or with forest fires. Heavy rains, such as from a thunderstorm, not only causes low visibility but the inability to brake quickly due to hydroplaning. Blizzards and ground blizzards, which is referred as blowing snow, are also defined in part by low visibility. So this presentation was all about important elements of climate. Hope this will be useful to all of you. I have shared my YouTube channel details, Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Having request, please visit the channel, subscribe it and provide your kind and valuable feedback. Thank you.